born on Christmas Day in 1901, in Králová Prague. Milada Horáková was the second child of a Vinohrady-based Prague family. Her father, a salesman, supported Masaryk and took an anti-Austrian political stance. Horáková suffered hard times in her personal life as well as during her political life. Both her older sister Marta and her younger brother succumbed to scarlet fever in 1914. A year later, her mother gave birth to Vera, whom a young Horáková would help look after. Strong-willed, she took part in an anti-war demonstration during her high school days and was expelled. Later, she did obtain a diploma from another school in Prague. Horáková joined the Red Cross, where she met the president's daughter, Alice Masaryk. During the early 1920s, she won her own battle with scarlet fever. On the steps of the Rudolfinum, then serving as parliament, Horáková met Senator Františka Pleminkova and became her assistant and later close friend. In 1926 she graduated in law from Prague's Charles University, and the following year she married the agrarian economist, Bohuslav Horák. They had a daughter, Jana, in 1933. At the age of 17, in the last year of the First World War, she was expelled from school for participating in an anti-war demonstration. She completed her secondary education in the newly formed Czechoslovakia and studied law at Charles University, graduating in 1926. Her early political life was influenced by Senator Františka Pleminkova, the Women's National Council founder. From 1927 to 1940, she was employed in the Social Welfare Department of the Prague City Authority. In addition to focusing on social justice issues, Horáková became a prominent campaigner for the equal status of women. She was also active in the Czechoslovak Red Cross. In 1929 she joined the Czechoslovak National Social Party, which, despite the similarity in names, was a strong opponent of German National Socialism. After the German occupation of Czechoslovakia in 1939, Horáková became active in the underground resistance movement. Together with her husband, she was arrested and interrogated by the Gestapo in 1940, in her case because of her pre-war political activity. She was sent to the concentration camp at Terezin and then to various prisons in Germany. In the summer of 1944, Horáková appeared before a court in Dresden. Although the prosecution demanded the death penalty, she was sentenced to 8 years imprisonment. She was released from detention in Bavaria in April 1945 by advancing United States forces in the closing stages of the Second World War. Following the liberation of Czechoslovakia in 1945, Horáková returned to Prague and joined the leadership of the reconstituted Czechoslovak National Social Party. She became a member of the Provisional National Assembly. In 1946, she won a seat in the elected National Assembly representing the region of České Budějovice in southern Bohemia. Her political activities again focused on enhancing the role of women in society and preserving Czechoslovakia's democratic institutions. Shortly after the communist coup in February 1948, she resigned from the parliament in protest. Unlike many of her political associates, Horáková chose not to leave Czechoslovakia for the West, and continued to be politically active in Prague. On the 27th of September 1949, She was arrested and accused of being the leader of an alleged plot to overthrow the communist regime. Before facing trial, Horáková and her co-defendants were subjected to intensive interrogation by the STB, the Czechoslovak state security organ, using both physical and psychological torture. She was accused of leading a conspiracy to commit treason and espionage at the behest of the United States, Great Britain, France and Yugoslavia. Evidence of the alleged conspiracy included Horáková's presence at a meeting of political figures from the National Socialist, Social Democrat, and People's parties, in September 1948. Held to discuss their response to the new political situation in Czechoslovakia. She was also accused of maintaining contacts with Czechoslovak political figures in exile in the West. The trial of Horáková and 12 of her colleagues began on the 31st of May 1950. It was intended to be a show trial, like those in the Soviet Great Purges of the 1930s. It was supervised by Soviet advisors and accompanied by a public campaign, organized by the communist authorities, demanding the death penalty for the accused. The state's prosecutors were led by Dr. Josef Orvalek and included Lidmila Brozovic-Poldnova. The trial proceedings were carefully orchestrated with confessions of guilt secured from the accused. A recording of the event, discovered in 2005, revealed Horáková's courageous defense of her political ideals. Invoking the values of Czechoslovakia's democratic presidents, Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk and Edvard Benes, she declared that no one in this country should be put to death or be imprisoned for their beliefs. Milada Horáková was sentenced to death on the 8th of June 1950, along with 3 co-defendants. Many prominent figures in the West, notably scientist Albert Einstein, former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, French President Vincent Auriol, and former U.S. First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, petitioned for her life, but the sentences were confirmed. Horáková was hanged in Prague's Pankráč prison on the 27th of June 1950 at the age of 48. Her last words were, "I have lost this fight but I leave with honor. I love this country. I love this nation, strive for their well-being. I depart without rancour towards you. I wish you. Following the execution, Horáková's body was cremated at Strasness Crematorium, but her ashes were not returned to her family. Their whereabouts are unknown. Her husband hid for 2 months after Horáková's arrest, then fled the country and finally emigrated to the USA, where he died in 1976. Horáková's daughter Jana was brought up by her sister Vera, but she was not allowed to study. Jana joined her father in the USA in 1968. As of 2000, Horáková has had a symbolic grave at Prague's Vyšehrad Cemetery, though the whereabouts of her urn is unknown. Horáková's remains were never returned to her family. In 1990 she was fully rehabilitated, and the following year Czechoslovak President Václav Havel awarded her a first-class Order Tomáš G. Masaryk Medal in Memoriam. Later, Horáková received other awards as well. As of 2004, June 27th, the day of her death, is the day of remembrance of victims of the communist regime. Thank you for watching Death Row.